Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm in my car and you're listening to the most horsepowerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford. He's the man on the moose, and on our journey today, we played a game called Tales of Arise, and I think that it's really good, and I actually have no idea what Ryan thinks of it, so you're about to find out at the same time as I'm going to find out, so jump on into the Xbox Drive. Ball!
Greater than X.
You know, Sean, I mean, as a huge Tales fan, I'm so excited that 2 weeks in a row, we managed to have the intro featuring Tales twice. How are you, my friend?
All about Tales, man. I'm telling you, well, I got to dive into it a bunch this week, and yeah, I was looking back, Ryan, on the hype list that we did earlier in the year with Donnie, and everybody kind of participated on the games that they were hyped about, and Tales was not on like S or A or I think even B ranked for me, and I don't mind being wrong every once in a while, my friend. But how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I was talking to Matt on the PlayStation Drive a little bit earlier today, but my sinuses are killing me because of the weather.
Oh, no.
Can't decide what to do because it's like pouring here and it's cold, but also hot at the same time somehow. It's very bizarre. So
we're on the struggle bus together, man. My throat, you can hear it.
Yeah, I've got a new TV now though, which is good.
Oh,
I've got
nice.
that going for me. So things are good. Things are good. How are you, my friend?
Definitely, yeah. No, life is good when you got a new TV to try out all your goodies on. I am on the recovery end of a bit of a cold. COVID test came back negative, so that's all good. But yeah, just a little medicated throughout all of this, my friend. I got to play a bunch of video games yesterday, which is a rare thing. I put a bunch of hours into Tales, so I'm excited to talk about video games with you today.
You got to have the accurate Ryan Turford simulation, Sean, of playing video games all day and not doing much else. But
just taking cold medication all day and just playing video games. That's the Ryan every day.
Clearly, I mean, except for the cold medication, maybe, but that's some days. But anyways, enough about that. Let's clean the garage a little bit because, of course, we do that at the beginning of every show. So if you like what we do and you want to support the show, there's a couple of ways to do that. Number one, you can subscribe to us on your podcast feed of choice, whether it's Google Podcasts, Apple Play, Spotify. We're on all the things, so go check us out there. If you leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we will read it on the show, which we actually do have a review to read in just a second. Also, if you want to see our beautiful faces every single week, we do have a video version of the show over on YouTube, youtube.com/YouMeCapri. Last but not least, you can throw a little tip in the old tip jar, patreon.com/YouMeCapri. Gives you early access to this and all of our shows, as well as some exclusive content. Sean, speaking of Apple Podcast reviews, we had a contest going on for Space Jam controllers. Had, because guess what? We finally hit the magical 75 reviews number we needed to give away this Goon Squad controller. So we're not announcing the winner right now. We will actually be announcing the winner on Saturday, because when we're going to be doing the drawing during Halo Saturdays in the evening. So twitch.tv/Sean Capri. We start that at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Sean's channel, or Eastern Daylight Time if you're Jace and you want to be correct about things. So we'll be drawing the winner of the controller during the live stream for Halo Saturday. So come hang out, maybe play some Halo with us, see if you want a controller, have a good time. I think it'll be fun. So there you go. Also, it's awesome. Thank you to everyone who went and did a review. Whether you win the controller or not, we're eternally grateful for you taking the time to go and leave a review for our podcast. Big time. Just like Orca Man 780 did.
I thought this was my dad, by the way. Orca Man is like something my dad. That's a Sean's dad username if I ever heard one.
Maybe they're just really obsessed with the 1970 movie Orca, Sean, about the killer whale that, wanted revenge for against this whaler that killed its mate, and just
that's probably it. Yeah, you're probably right.
Anyways, the title of this review is Fun Listen, Great Community, and Orcaman 780 says, you wouldn't think a pair of weird Canadian dudes from Canada would put on a good podcast, but here we are. That's the review. There you go. So
there you go.
Huge thank you to Orca Man 780 for taking the time to write that review for us and for your awesome support. But
no kidding.
Enough about all that jibber jabber. Let's grab our A-tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist. And Sean, all the games are out right now, so we should probably talk about all the games that we played. What'd you play, my friend?
Oh, well, should we just jump right into Tales, or do you want to do you have other things that you want to talk about before? Because I think Tales is what I'm all in on right now, my friend.
I'm cool talking Tales.
Or Psychonauts. Or we could talk a little bit about Psychonauts. Maybe we'll jump into that because I finished Psychonauts, and I think the last time you and I chatted, I was like, I don't know if this is Game of the Year material. It's good, and I'm not thinking about it while I'm away and blah, blah, blah. But Ryan, I take all that back. It's all throw all that out. All the footage, all the recording, all the audio, just completely throw it out. This game is absolutely going to be in our conversation. The two of us together talking about Psychonauts 2 when it comes to Game of the Year type of stuff. My goodness gracious, this had, I don't look for a game to make me cry, or really even to make me feel anything, but this game made me feel things. It made me appreciate things. It is so well written and designed. It really deserves the recognition for that, and the art direction of it, the level design, the writing, the acting. It is so good. Of course, it plays well. Mm-hmm. And as I kind of turned the corner on where this all was going and what direction it was all kind of coming to, it all came together for me in a big way. And I just really appreciate Psychonauts. I thought when I first started, I recommended it within our review and our extra mile. I was only a few hours in at that point because of the bug that I had experienced. But dude, I will be thinking about this for a long time, as it turns out, actually. So yeah, I'm just really glad to have that kind of done and just now in the rearview mirror, pardon the pun, but just really, really appreciate what Double Fine did with Psychonauts 2, man. Totally surprised me.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it almost as much as I did, or as much as I did. I mean, we're still
I think we're there. I think I'm there with you, man. I think absolutely.
We got Sean there, friends.
Almost as much as I appreciate some drinks. Hi there. Can I please get 2 large Diet Cokes and a large decaf with 2 Splenda, please? That is all. Yeah, no, dude, I'm totally glad that I stuck with it. I'm finishing games this year, man. This is a theme for me this year. And I don't know if there's anything else I will say, and I don't know if you found this as well. The one thing I would say that is maybe a bit of a knock is that there are so many characters, which is a good thing. But I got a little confused on who's who, because every character has a first name and a last name and then almost a nickname as well. So I got a little lost at times where who the heck are they even talking about right now? Who am I supposed to find? But that's really the only thing.
Especially with a lot of the characters you meet later in the game, because I feel like they just don't spend enough time with those characters. Do you really get, you don't get to know them as well as a lot of the characters you meet at the beginning of the game. I can certainly get that sentiment as well. It does have a lot of characters in it. So there's a lot of people to remember. I was not expecting that going into it, because, there was a lot of memorable characters from the first game, but for the most part, besides the kids at the camp and the 3 counselors, that's pretty much all the characters you probably needed to know from that game. Whereas there are so many more characters in this this time around with Psychonauts 2 that I get that sentiment a little bit. And I know that my other major knock that I talked about it in the review as well, but now you've experienced firsthand is some of the boss fights in particular. And as much as I liked a lot of the boss fights in the game, some of them go on way too long. And there was one that I quit for the night where I died and it sent me all the way back. I'm like, and I literally said the words, "You've got to be kidding me." And I put the controller down and I went back to it the next day, which is, I think, a mature thing to do, Ryan. I think that's, you don't just keep banging your head, slamming your head against the wall. Especially that boss fight too takes 10 minutes on its own. And if you die once, you start at the beginning. It's just
all the way back. It's too much.
It's quite the thing. But besides Psychonauts 2, Tales of Arise is kind of absorbing all of our time right now. Of course, you and I are both playing it.
That's me.
And I think we mentioned on last week's show that codes for this were provided by Bandai Namco for the game. So huge shout out and thank you to our friends at Bandai Namco for.
Well, for me, we could say I feel like it's important, Ryan, while we're disclosing. You paid for the game. I got the code. So we kind of have a nice split here for sure.
That's true. But obviously, I want to throw it out there whenever we talk about games like this. But Tales of Arise itself, I'm very far in this game because pretty much, when I bought my new TV, I've pretty much been playing this game nonstop, except for the other game that I'm going to talk about after we're done talking about Tales. But I love this game, Sean, as a longtime Tales of fan. It feels like a Tales game, but doesn't. But in all of the best ways possible, because it feels like such a huge step up, both in the way that it tells its story, to the character design, to the way the world is structured, to the combat from previous Tales games, that it's going to be hard maybe going back to the older Tales formula after this game, because I really feel like this has really improved things for the series going forward. And it's been kind of a big breakout for the series, because even though the Tales games have been actually pretty popular in North America since the first since Tales of Symphonia came out, where that kind of sparked popularity here. We've seen a ton of people jumping into this game for the first time and loving it. And I think we're seing a lot more Tales fans pop up, just like maybe one Sean Capri, who wasn't
like
really
Sean
like a super Tales fan before, but I think we might be winning you over with this one. Sean, what do you think about Tales? Tell me about your experience with
well, I think you did an excellent job kind of like setting the stage last week in terms of like what the story is and some of the characters early on. I'm about 14, 15 hours into this thing, Ryan, and by the way that it sort of like sets the stage, it seems like there's maybe 5 main areas that we're going to be going into, and I'm in the 3rd of those 5, so I don't know if that means I'm a little over halfway, but my experience with the series is very briefly with Tales of Berseria. I played on PC and on PlayStation 4, and a lot of carryover on that front. But my friend, I don't know, like I just said it about with Psychonauts 2, but I do think that this might have to be part of the consideration for Game of the Year this year as well. I'm totally in love with it, even though there's maybe elements of it that I don't completely understand in terms of like the combat. Like it's definitely an in-depth. I feel like if you're a Ryan Turford type of RPG fan, then there's a lot for you to sink your teeth into here. But for me, like I'm definitely getting by, and I also have the option to just kind of get OP'd and just level up a lot and go grind a little bit and get through. But like, it all works for me. The game is gorgeous. I'm playing with Japanese voiceover and English subtitles, which I tend to do with these things. So I'm enjoying that experience of it. But man, what a dire situation this whole the setting of this, the setup and the for this whole game, where they're kind of screwed, these people, and they're but I'm in every zone, every sort of area. I guess I don't know if because I'm trying to dance around some spoilers here, but essentially you're going to be overthrowing like 5 rulers of different areas of this planet. Yeah. And everyone, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Dragon Age in a way, where there's a different like political and different setup, and each one, the landscape is completely different. The challenges that everybody faces are completely different, and there are surprises all along the way. So the gameplay has me hooked, but also just the storytelling and the narrative is so strong and varied, and seems to balance nicely the kind of cliche and expected anime gotcha kind of turn of events, but it's not too much. It's still enough to keep me really, really invested in this world, my friend.
Yeah, it's not as crazy out there with the anime tropes as, say, Scarlet Nexus.
Scarlet Nexus is exactly what comes to mind. Yeah, and guess what? It's your sis. Like, I don't know. It's like something just completely crazy and out there. I have a couple of theories, which is maybe another sign that I'm really enjoying this, because I will message you every once in a while. I'm like, new theory. Here's what I think is happening, and it just kind of keeps you guessing. And I love all the characters. I love Iron Mask. I love Sean. I love, like, things are happening to all these people, and I care a lot, man. It has a really nice blend, I think, of that narrative storytelling that Scarlet Nexus definitely had, but maybe even too much. Like we talked about that almost as like a visual novel, where it has a lot to get through. I will say there is a lot of dialogue, a lot of almost like these comic book or manga kind of dialogue scenes, which is pretty common in games like this.
Well, they're also called skits, and they're like a long time thing in the Tales series, but they're not as they're much more visually pleasing this time around, because they're more like comic book panels, like you kind of alluded to. Whereas in the old games, you would literally have like little like tiny cutouts of the characters' heads, and they would just talk to each other over a black screen. So it wasn't as like visually pleasing, or you weren't as involved with some of the skit kind of material as you are kind of with this game.
Yeah, it's really captured me, man. I love the world. I love wandering around it. I love leveraging my whole party as well. Like everybody has their different strengths and weaknesses to it all. The one thing that I'm just trying to wrap my head around a little bit better is the arts system, which is basically like a bunch of abilities, or almost like magic. Would you say?
Yeah, they're kind of like that. But magic. for like the melee characters, they're more just like combo moves or just skills in particular. In fact, the combat really reminds me of, you know, games like, especially if you're playing like as Alphen or Law, it really feels like you're playing like a Bayonetta style or Devil May Cry style.
Yeah,
like
well
fast
said.
action game, which as someone who loves games like that, like that's one of the things I really enjoy is the combat and just how fast and fluid it feels. But you do have to really manage kind of your arts points that you have available to you, because certain arts take more ability points to use, and you only get so many of them before they kind of have to recharge. So you have to do kind of some tiptoeing, and balancing to kind of figure out, you know, when to use certain abilities, and also you have to elements of each ability really plays into a lot of the battles as well. So you kind of have to balance when to use specific abilities against specific enemies.
That's exactly what I need to wrap my head around a little bit. But I'm also, I just want to play the game. You know what I mean? So it seems like I'm getting along quite well. I also discovered a battlegrounds, like a training, which requires you to fight within certain rules. Like damage will only count if you down an enemy after a certain attack. And I think that that's really helpful, especially where I'm at in the game, where I'm pretty comfortable with everything, but I can hone my skills a little bit in this practice arena. And it seems like that's been done on purpose. But goodness gracious, dude, like the story in this is so good. And it is from the beginning. I think that's one of the strongest things is like right from the start. It has captured me. It's not like, oh, you got to play this game for 15 hours before it gets good. I think it gets good pretty immediately. The one thing that I would say on that front, though, is that the visuals or the landscapes themselves, that part does get better, where things are really dire and really desolate.
You mean how
it's
first literally on fire all the time at
Everything
the very beginning?
is rocks and fire and desert, and nothing is good. Things get a little bit better as you go along, and that's the thing that once I've started to realize the patterns here, and that every area is going to have its own setting, and people are going to be living under certain conditions. And that nothing really is as it seems is so cool to me. The area I'm at right now, I wish maybe you and I will chat about this after the show, but like the area I'm at right now is just like, holy crap, it's so good, man. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I want to know what this guy is about. He seems like he's maybe a good dude, but I don't think he is a good dude. And holy cow, people are living and people are dying. It's so good, man. Holy crap. Freaking
Maybe
Tails.
he's just secretly your brother the whole time, Sean. You never know.
That's what I'm saying, man. I don't know.
To bring that up. But
also, I wanted to ask you, because you did bring up you can lead as like the different characters within your party. I just lead with the main guy with Iron Mask. I haven't actually jumped over to any of the other characters. Is that how you play?
Yeah, that's actually how, I mean, honestly, I stick with the main character too.
Same. Yeah, okay.
I like in other Tales games, I've been a little more adventurous with it and trying out the different party members and playing with them a lot longer. And whenever in Tales of Arise, whenever I would recruit a new party member, I would always try them out first. Just give them a couple battles, see if I want to, stick with that particular character or not. And honestly, I usually just fall back to the main character, Iron Mask. But I will say, Rinwell, the mage that you get a little bit later, she's a character that I also really like playing as, because I remember playing as her a lot in the demo. I haven't really played as her much in the final game, but I really enjoyed kind of her combat style and
her story.
Yeah.
Even the mages themselves are so, oh my goodness, dude, I couldn't help myself. That mage backstory is so excellent. And again, it really does remind me almost of like BioWare type of storytelling, where it just really feels like this world existed before the game takes place. And I don't know, is that always the case with Tales games? Like
it is like, that's the storytelling. What I was going to say to all your rave reviews of the storytelling is the storytelling's always been the best part of the Tales games. And it's really just been the combat and the exploration that have kind of needed the most work. But even like if you go back to Tales, like games like Tales of Xillia or Tales of Grace's F, like they tell like really compelling and great stories with like really fantastic characters, and they don't go too crazy with the anime tropes, and they
it doesn't
like
need to
grounded experiences because they don't need to. Absolutely, like the world's Phil lived in as well. To your point,
because I've only played and not a whole heck of a lot, maybe 20 hours or so of Berseria. Like I feel like the motivation for Iron Mask in Tales of Arise is so much better than the revenge story story that is being explored with Berseri. I don't know how that all concluded there, but I feel like the motivation here of like the revenge or the rise of the slave really is what this is in Iron Mask, and him discovering like how much more value there is in life to live fighting for your freedom than what I thought was kind of a, I don't know, it was kind of a weak revenge premise in Tales of Berseri. Like that never really locked in for me, but the growth that Iron Mask shows with his ability also, we should note that this is a person who has, you mentioned last week, he's got this mask over his face, he can't see anything, he can't really eat all that well, he shoves food underneath. And he sort of he's always wanted to fight for freedom and never really did it. And now that's what this story is he's been discovered by this group, and he can now go on to fight to free his people. And that is so profound to me that I'm really enjoying that side of it, just the premise of it. I understand why he's putting himself and his friends through dangers, because he's trying to, like, whenever you have a situation that is so huge, bigger than life, he's trying to save the planet, his whole people. That's what really gets to me. And that's the part that is BioWare-esque to me, that it seems that it's unwinnable. This situation that he's going up against seems like there's no chance, but he's kind of cutting away at it, and I really, really love that whole approach.
For sure. So Tales of Rise, I think 2 thumbs up for us, both for us right now. We're going to keep playing it, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it lots more when we have a chance to beat it. I know for next week, I'm planning on having it finished by the time we record next week's show, and then we'll probably be doing a review discussion in the future with you, me, and maybe Matt over at the PlayStation.
Maybe Matt.
As well. So check it out there, as well as, Sean, before we move on to breaking news, I would be remiss if I did not talk about the other game I played this week, Life is Strange True Colors. I actually started it 2 days ago on Tuesday and pretty much binged the whole thing because I finished it at 2 a.m. last night, and I could not put it down from the time I basically picked it up. I loved Life is Strange True Colors. I think it's a really fantastic entry in the series. And it's got some hits, like positives and negatives that go along with it. Like there's some things I liked with what they did with it and some things I didn't love. But number one, we're running low on time. But number two, I actually have a review for this coming out this weekend. So I'm going to kind of save my talk on Life is Strange True Colors for that talk. But to throw it out there, I will say that I liked it more than Life is Strange 2, but less than the original Life is Strange. And it's about kind of where I feel about Before the Storm, because I kind of feel about, I like that one kind of in the middle. So that's kind of where I would put it on my rankings so far. But it's just... Yeah, I'm going to talk about it more in depth over the weekend because we got to get moving, Sean. Because
all the games.
We got
dude,
news.
I needed to talk to you about Tales. That's awesome. I can't wait for Life is Strange. Holy cow. We're in it, man. We're in the fall season. All the games are happening.
We're in the thick of it. But I'm slamming the brakes on this conversation, Sean, because it is time for some breaking news. And
like car
this
brakes.
Week, Halo Infinite's test flights return, Sean, which is very exciting.
Holy crap.
We will be getting new test flights this weekend, starting on September 23rd until September 26th. That's today, the day we're recording.
That's today. Yeah.
And they will also be returning next week on September 30th until October 3rd. The test is open to all Halo insiders who sign up before the beta test starts. You have to receive an email first with a set of instructions, which at the time of this recording, we received our confirmation that we're in, but we haven't received how we go about downloading it and whatnot. But that's going to be interesting, but I'm sure we'll figure that out later. However, there is something to note about these tests that's a little bit different from last time. So last time they did the Halo Infinite test flights, it was all against bots. There was no online multiplayer. This time around, there's online multiplayer, but it only happens at specific times of the day. So the online multiplayer happens between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. till 12 a.m., all times in Eastern Standard Time. And they all happen it's the same times for each day that the test flights are available. So you can't just jump on willy-nilly at any time of the day and try and play multiplayer because it doesn't work that way. When the multiplayer is not online, you will still be able to play against bots. You just won't be able to play against other players or any of the new modes.
Gotcha.
So the first test this week will be 4 versus 4 arena, while the second test next week will focus on 12v12 big team battle Holy crap, Sean. I'm so excited that we're actually going to probably be able to play Halo Infinite either this weekend or worst case next weekend. And I'm just excited to play with the community. How hyped are you, though, for the test flights, Sean?
I'm kind of in disbelief if I'm honest. And I was sharing the email, like, you're in, a lot of us got really excited about getting that email earlier this week. And I was like, is Halo Saturday going to be Halo Infinite? Like, is this happening? And like I said, like, kind of in denial, almost in disbelief. I don't know. Like, and the fact that we haven't got the emails is kind of feeding into that disbelief a little bit. But dude, like, completely beyond hyped, to the point where I just don't even think that it's actually happening. But I think that there's a lot of general excitement just in the community for this thing. So I'm obviously excited to play it, and I just hope that it runs well, really, with all of these things. Because as much as a technical test as these are, they're meant to push the servers, make sure everything is working and blah, blah, blah. They have an ability, for better or for worse, to create impressions and attitudes and opinions about Halo Infinite. So I really just hope that it goes well. Like, whatever it is, I just hope that it plays well, and that people don't have, Assassin's Creed-esque bugs, like, just teeth wandering around and eyeballs bugging out and stuff, even though everybody's got helmets on. I'm not sure why that comes to mind. But there you go. Like, I'm really excited, and I just hope that it happens and it works. How about you?
Yeah, I'm really jazzed for it. And yeah, to your point, I just hope it works, and I hope we're able to play with the community, because again, if we're gonna turn our normal Halo Saturday night, let's say this weekend or next weekend, Sean, into Halo Infinite Saturday, I just hope it works. So, and I hope we're able to play with the community and just have a good time with it, to be honest with you. Like, I'm excited to finally get our hands on the game finally, after years and years and years of waiting for a new Halo game. And I mean, more than anything, I'm just excited to see what Halo Infinite's all about. So yeah.
And new maps, dude. Like, what kind of maps are we going to have? 4-on-4. I think we can actually fill a whole, I don't know how it's going to work for us with Halo Saturday. It's like, if we can party up in this way, or is it just going to throw everybody in randomly? I don't actually know how that, this will be literally the first time you and I played. A couple other people got to play Halo Infinite with the last tech test, but we did not, my friend. Yeah,
and I know before with the bots, you could matchmake with 4 players, but then I didn't know if you could match up, like, have 8 players in a lobby together,
right?
And go back and forth. So that might be where we get stuck. But yeah, I guess we'll find out when like this weekend. So next week, I think we'll be talking a lot more about it, hopefully, and hopefully we have a lot to say about it. If not, it'll be at least for sure the big team battle weekend, I'm sure. So
yeah,
there you go. All right, next up, speaking of online multiplayer games, this news story pretty much broke right after we recorded last week. So I wanted to make sure we talked about it here. Battlefield 2042 has been delayed. It will officially launch on November 19th, the same week as we were looking at on the Yumi Capri spreadsheet of releases, the same week as like 8 other games. So it's going to be interesting, but I don't know if this has been delayed into kind of a better window for the game, but it's only been delayed by a month. So I feel like they're only probably doing this if they felt, they needed to do this, but it's going to be interesting because Battlefield is essentially launching in between, like sandwiched between Call of Duty and Halo. Like, Call of Duty comes out the week before, and then Halo comes out like 2 weeks later. So
that'll work out well. That'll be fine.
I'm sure that's never affected any games at all before this, Sean. So
definitely not like Titanfall or anything.
Yeah, of course. So what do you think about this delay, Sean?
I think push it further, man. Push it out further. Did we talk about Dying Light 2 as well? Like that got moved away like that? Oh yeah, we definitely talked about that getting into February. I don't know. I'm not your Battlefield person. Like, I know there's a lot of people like Mr. Badbit from the Trophy Room. There's a few people out there who are really looking forward to Battlefield. This doesn't. I don't know. It is not really registering for me. The fact that it got delayed doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence that, it's not coming in hot. I think it really is. Probably like many other games as well. I'm not trying to damn it, but since you asked, I'm not really, I wasn't hyped about it already, and it doesn't bode well, I don't think, for the game.
Yeah, I'm not someone that was either like super excited about Battlefield either. Like, I was interested to find out what people thought about it when it came out, and then if people were having a good time with it, or if we knew a lot of people were playing, then yeah, that's the type of thing where I would probably jump in at that point. But yeah, I'm already the type of person who's not buying it day one anyways, so it doesn't affect me too much. But yeah, I just hope that the game finds some success if it's awesome in this time window. I just don't know. It's just going to be a tougher sell, I think, now versus its original release date, because there weren't really too many games coming out around it. The only other thing around it was the Dark Pictures anthology, the new horror game. But otherwise, that was pretty much it, besides Back 4 Blood, which was out a couple weeks earlier. So It might be a little bit tougher for this game, but we'll see. I'm excited to see if the game's actually awesome and to actually see some user impressions on playing the game and if it's actually fun. So
right, I think we need is there like a release calendar just for Game Pass games? I feel like I just need that. Like what does my next kind of couple months look like just to coming into Game Pass? I know we always talk about when the games are announced and they're coming soon and everything, but I feel like I need that at the ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just on hand whenever you want to see what anything's
yeah, like on the Game Pass app. Like I'd love for that to be a thing. It says coming soon.
Well, they do that. They do that on the Game Pass app, but a lot of these games, unless it's like a big AAA game like Back 4 Blood, though, they usually announce it like a week or two before the game comes out. Like, remember last week where we had like 10 games coming to Game Pass this week that they didn't announce any of those were coming to Game Pass until last week. So, and most of them were day and date. So
I'm looking at the coming soon. I'm looking at the coming soon thing right now, and it's like Lemnis Gate is September 28th, and then there's I can't even tell what this is. Unsighted on September 30th, and then Back 4 Blood October 12th, and then Forza Horizon 5 on November 9th, and it's like that can't be all, right? Like I just don't think that this is a comprehensive list.
Yeah, especially because like we already know Astria Ascending is coming on the 30th as well.
Exactly, there you go.
There as well as some other stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Microsoft, get on that.
Come on,
put it together. Put it into the app. All right.
We got to think of everything around here, Ryan.
I know. Well, next news story was an interesting one because we just got a trailer for this morning for a game that was shown and debuted during the Xbox Series X reveal event last year. Corus will actually launch on December 3rd on Xbox Series S and X. This was the flight combat game, like the space combat game that we saw during the original Xbox showcase. They released a new trailer today. It runs about 4 minutes that kind of like quickly sets up the story and shows off some of the combat from the game, as well as some of the additional challenges because you have a bunch of different objectives. Like there's some maze-like stuff you have to fly through, as well as like a bunch of other stuff besides just pure dogfighting. But this game looks really cool, Sean. So this game is not coming to Xbox One. It is Series X and S, so this current console generation only.
Oh, snap. Okay.
And it's a very pretty looking game. But we did find out from the trailer, though, it's also coming to PlayStation 5, where it was originally only announced for Xbox. So we had thought maybe this was an exclusive, but it is coming to PlayStation day and date, which is weird. But the trailer itself looked really cool and interesting. So I'm actually pretty excited about this one, but seeing as though I'm seeing you click in the Google Doc right now, you probably haven't had a chance to watch the trailer, right, John? Just because I know you've been busy today.
Yeah, you can totally tell exactly what I'm doing. I totally was not sure what this game even was or what it looked like, but you're right. I'm looking at the trailer right now. It is totally a gorgeous looking game. I'm like, what even is this thing? Space filled. Is it dogfighting? Is that what you said?
There's some dogfighting, and then there's some other space combat activities and objectives you have to do as well.
It almost has it gives me Returnal vibes a little bit as well, with a lot of like the close-ups on the female protagonist, it seems. Futuristic next-gen Star Fox with the Returnal chick. That's what we've got here. Yeah.
It looks fun. So
what's the Eve? Oh, snap. What's that space game?
Project Eve or Eve Online?
No, I'm not even close. Damn it. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. There's a space game. You wander around. There's a second one coming out. Never mind. People can help me in the comments.
That's so long ago, Sean. But yeah. So Corus, I'm amazed we even saw it because, again, they kind of announced it during the showcase and then they never talked about it again, kind of like Scorn or some other games that we saw there as well. But yeah, this game looks pretty cool, and I think it's on my radar now to check this one out when it comes out. So there you go. Next news story might be outdated by the time you listen to this, folks, because we don't usually talk about rumors on this show. But at the same time, this isn't really much of a rumor. It's more based on facts and the fact that we know it's being announced literally in 2 hours from now. So the Castlevania Advanced Collection has been rated on Xbox One, and in fact will be announced by the time you're listening to this. And I have the full description for the game that talks about what's actually in this collection, as well as some artwork. So the collection itself contains 3 Game Boy Advance Castlevania games: Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, and Aria of Sorrow, as well as the SNES version of Dracula X, for some bizarre reason. All 4 of these will be available in one package, which should retail for about $30 which is the same as the Castlevania Anniversary Collection did about a year and a half ago as well. So all three of the GBA Castlevania games, for those that haven't played them, they're all Metroidvania style Castlevania games. They're kind of basically, after Symphony of the Night came out, and rather than continuing that style of game on consoles, they actually continued it on handhelds. So they actually all came to the Game Boy Advance. So they're all Metroidvania style games, except for Dracula X, which is essentially the SNES version of the Turbo CD version of Rondo of Blood, which we got on a port on PlayStation 4 2 years ago, which was interesting. So it's weird because the Dracula X SNES game is not that great of a port, but it's in this collection nonetheless. As a huge Castlevania fan myself, I'm very excited about this because other than the Wii U, we really haven't had a modern re-release of any of these games at all.
That's crazy.
For not even on 3DS, which is the console that would have made more sense to release GBA games on, but they did on Wii U of all things. So if you don't want to play these games on Wii U, honestly, I think they're great games that are worth checking out on Xbox One. So obviously, we don't have the exact date that we're recording this because we are recording it before the announcement happens. But I'm very excited to see this. Sean, are you at all interested in this at all? What do you think?
No, I wanted to let you know that Elite Dangerous was the game I was trying to think of before.
Oh.
The answer was Elite Dangerous.
I remember that.
So there's another one coming out. It's a roguelike before. I don't think it's roguelike this time. No, I wish that I was like, because I feel like this is a hallmark. This is almost like required gaming is kind of the sense that I get from the Castlevanias. There's a whole genre that is sort of like dedicated to the Metroidvania kind of thing. And I will definitely I want to give it a try. I don't want to close my arms or my eyes to it all. But yeah, no, this is not something that like strikes any nostalgia chord for me, but I'm happy for you. And I do think that it might actually be the exact thing that I need, right? Like to get it on my radar. Cause you're right. It's been tricky to actually get my hands on one of these things unless I've pulled out my 3DS or my Vita. I think I actually have Symphony of the Night on my Vita. Is that a thing? Is that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's also Symphony of the Night's also a backwards compatible game on Xbox Series X.
There you go.
It was a 360 arcade title. So you could actually play it that way as well. That might even be better than playing it on your Vita because it's on your big TV.
Probably a little bit, yeah, and charged. Yeah,
but I would say that for someone who's new to Castlevania, this might actually be a better entry than a lot of other stuff. Like especially the Anniversary Collection is like three brutally hard NES games and then a brutally hard SNES game.
Awesome.
Versus this is just a little bit more approachable, I think, for a lot of newcomers. So if you're a fan of Metroidvanias out there, listeners at home. But don't sleep on this release. I think it's going to be pretty good. But anyways, let's set some of our friends into the car with us. Sean, it is time for the carpool. Folks at home, if you would like have your question read on the carpool, there's a number of ways to do that. Number one, follow us on Twitter at YouMeCaprice. We put up a question post every single Tuesday. And just leave your question there and we'll read it on the show. Or if you're watching us on YouTube right now and you have a question, just leave it in the comments of the YouTube video, or you can join our Discord, the Yumi Capri Discord. It's free to join. The link's in the show notes. Join there. Go to the Xbox Drive section, leave your question, and we'll read it on the show. Just like Joel at Joel, aka Falcon, did. And this question's more of a Sean question, but we'll see how about this one. How many teraflops does it take for the teabags to run at 60 frames per second in 4K? Sean, what's the answer to Joel's question? How many teraflops?
I don't know how many teraflops are on like the original Xbox One. I think that there's maybe like 3 teraflops or something like that is what is required because Halo Infinite is happening and it's cross-gen, dude. You can play it on that old VCR Xbox. So whatever that is. But we're going to bring all the teabag in. Now, I'm telling you, man, there's a weird, immature satisfaction that happens when you kill somebody and you do a little lunge on their face. It is a good time at Halo Saturdays with us all.
I never teabag any people, so that's why I deferred the question to Sean. Next question comes to us from Brendan Myers at The Winter Gamer, the Winter Gamer's been activated, Sean. It's happening.
Nice.
What are the miles per gallon you get while driving the car for the show? Also, what are 2 or 3 Xbox games that you keep in quick resume? I'm going to answer my part of this question real quick, Sean, because you took Joel's question on yourself. I personally don't actually use quick resume. I'm a bad boy because I'm in the habit of just closing my games when I'm done with it. And because the games load so quickly anyways, I mean, there's no reason to keep them in quick resume. The only game I actually suspend on any console is Final Fantasy 14 on PlayStation 5, because when I do that, then I don't have to re-log into the game, essentially, pull up my authenticator and whatnot. But that's the only game I do that with on any console. But what about you, Sean? What is, first of all, how many miles per gallon do you get while you drive for the show?
It's been better lately, because if anybody watches the video, you'll know that I mainly so that we maintain a good internet connection here. I've actually stopped driving around during the show, so I basically just sit in the parking lot of McDonald's, and then at a certain point, like right now, it's like it's time to go back home. So the miles per gallon, it's what kilometers actually in Canada we measure it by. What is it? 100? How many liters per 100 kilometers? I think it is something. I don't even know. It's terrible. Whatever the answer is, it's actually awful. And then what was the other question? Oh, the quick resume. Hades right now is my answer. Hades is the one that I'll just like jump back into and have a quick round and then go back to Tails. Really is the one for me. Yeah.
Makes sense. Next question comes to us from Yarden at Yarden Angel, and they ask the question: is this the most excited you've been to try a preview / demo of a game? If not, do you remember what game it was? So, Yarden
is Halo? What was the question?
I just read the question verbatim. He didn't mention a specific game. He just said, "Is this the most excited you've been to try a preview / demo of
Must
a game?"
be Halo. Okay,
I'm guessing he means Halo. For me, as far as console releases and not press related stuff, yes, I think it's one of the hypest moments I've had. Besides, like the only other ones that come to mind as far as non-press stuff are when I first got into the Final Fantasy 14 beta when it first started, or the Halo Reach beta when Crackdown 3 came out. That was Halo 3. But yeah, so I would say the Halo releases before were kind of the hypest ones. As far as though, if I was to include press stuff and press previews and whatnot, then definitely I would say no, because one, I was way more jazzed to do the Psychonauts 2 preview that we did earlier this year.
Nice.
But also a huge shout out to the very first preview event I ever went to as a member of the press, which was the Nintendo Switch reveal press event.
Nice.
Where I got to basically go hands-on with the Nintendo Switch 3 months before it came out, and they had the entire launch lineup there for us to try in person. It was in Toronto, and it was an amazing experience. So that's what I would say to this question. But what do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I'm going to jump on that press bandwagon a little bit as well to say Gears 5 Escape was amazing. Luke and I got to play that at E3. I mean, I could really go into a lot of things that we got to play at E3. That's kind of almost like a cheating answer, but Escape looked really good, and then it just played really well as well. We got to play Battletoads ahead of time. Like I think probably maybe even 2 years ahead of when it actually came out, which was super, super fun. Got to play Tunic ahead of time. Actually, that's one that is both press at E3 as well as when it came out. Now, the only problem with Tunic is I think that I'm starting to get a little down on it at this point, because the demo came out over the summer and I was not as high on it. I was really, really excited about it. But none of these really, I don't think, even come close, Ryan, to comparing to Halo. Like to that point earlier that I made, like I'm in complete disbelief that it's even here and it's happening, is kind of just a sense of how excited I am. I don't want to let myself get hurt by this. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next question comes to us from Court Lalonde. I hope I said your name correctly. Nice. At Court Lalonde on Twitter. And he asked the question, Court here, first time caller, a new listener. So welcome to the Yumi Capri family, Court. He asked the question, if you could have one exclusive from Nintendo or PlayStation become Xbox exclusive, what would that be? So with this type of question, I don't know if I love kind of the spirit of this question, because I'm the type of person that doesn't like to take exclusives away from other consoles. Oh, I like this question. I like the spirit. I'm all about it. I like this question more in the sense of like what game that is exclusive to those consoles that I would want to also be on Xbox is kind of how I would approach this one. Okay. And the answer for me will be my favorite video game franchise of all time. It's Metroid. I mean, Metroid. If all the Metroid games could come to Xbox, I would be in heaven. I probably would never have to turn my Nintendo Switch on again, Sean, because I love Metroid so much. Again, it's my favorite franchise of all time. So for me, that's my answer. What about you, Sean? I feel like that's the one that actually makes sense. That actually is one that I could see happening. You know, like that. So I actually am gonna do a rare thing and just say like same as you, because I actually think that would that would fit well. And I think Metroid, especially Metroid Prime, needs a little more horsepower than what Nintendo can give it. I think the 2D Metroids could be the Nintendo version, but the 3D Metroids, the first person, I think it needs some horsepower. I think it needs a little teraflop. So that's my answer. And then to bring something over from PlayStation, I want all the Marvel stuff. I don't want Spider-Man to be exclusive over there. And especially with this Wolverine thing. Are you kidding me? Like, those are my top two superheroes, man. Like, Spider-Man and Wolverine, they're exclusive over there. Bring them over to Xbox. You get more puddles over on Xbox land. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know about that. That's to be debated, Sean.
Splashy,
I mean, look at the fruit stands in Halo Infinite.
More voluminous. Definitely.
It's all about the fruit stands. All right, Sean, we got to go. But before we go, Sean,
is that it? You can find me on Twitter at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Sean Capri. And if you like the show even just a little bit, you can support us at patreon.com/Yumi Capri.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You also find us on Twitter at Yumi Capri's, on YouTube at youtube.com/Yumi Capri, and on podcast services around the globe. So for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 208 of the Xbox Drive, and we out. Bah.
Sometimes I don't think about what I should be screaming to make Ryan talk long and to say bah for a really long time, but I don't really have anything else to say other than I had a really good time talking about the show and the video games and things that's turned out really well. Ryan already ran out of breath. He had to take a second breath. He didn't think I was going to go the distance, but I did. Bah. The Xbox Drive is fueled by patrons at patreon.com/Yumi Capri. And from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful to the nearly 70 patrons who support us each and every month. With special thanks to our CaPremium producers, Dallas Ford, Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team, and Johnathan Brown, the man behind the music on the Xbox Drive and the Nintendo Drive. You can support Johnathan Brown at youtube.com/GamingPurpleMonkey. Our platinum producers, Robby Bobby Miller and TruckerSloth, and all of our gold members, ARGO, Benjicong, Brendan Myers, Dallas Robbins, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, Fulish Fuji, Heather Boney, James Johnson, Dr. Doom, Joel Brooks, Jose Jimenez, Mac Time, Marcus O'Neill, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots, RJ Kern, Skinny Matt, and Xavier Reyes. If you'd like to support this show, go to patreon.com/Yumi Capri and choose the Patreon tier that works for you.